I want to start off this video by saying that I haven't exactly fully played a lot of single player video games. While I have started a lot, I rarely finish them, which means when I do finish one, it is typically a very good game. And that's not always the case, but usually it is. Typically for me to finish a game, it needs to have at least one of these three things. 1. Have an interesting story. 2. Have a really satisfying combat system. And 3. Just be less than 15 hours long. If it's more than 15 hours, there's a good shot I'm not finishing it. Some games do multiple of these things, which makes them even better, but as I already said, the biggest one is the third one. Because in general, it doesn't matter how good the game is. I'm only going to play it for a max of 2 weeks. After that, I'm done with it, which means that a game like Undertale, that is really short, has a really good story, and a really fun combat system, is going to rank a lot higher on my list of like favorite games than a game like The Witcher 3, which I have only got like 3 hours in this game because I know how long it's going to take, and it just sounds like way too much work. So now that we got through all that precursor bullcrap, let's talk about why Bioshock is really good. The atmosphere in this game is insanely good. It is eerie and a little creepy, but still really intriguing, which makes you just want to keep playing. To explain this better though, I have broken down what I like about the atmosphere into 3 different parts. The first of which is music. The game is set in the early 1960s, but it uses music that resembles more of the 1940s or 30s, which I believe is an excellent choice. The music just helps add to the immersion factor that makes you want to keep playing. It kind of has the same vibe as the music from the Fallout series, like Fallout 4 and Fallout 3, which I feel just works really well in both games. The main difference from Fallout though is that Bioshock uses this music to add a little bit of a scare factor and make you realize how dead this place is. The second of these 3 parts is the Rapture. The Rapture is the underwater city that you are in during the game, and it is amazing. The second you enter the Rapture, you see beautiful sights that make you think this is a place of luxury. You see all these amazing like buildings that are underwater and have like these neon signs. I can't even explain it. I'm showing it right now. You gotta admit, this is really fucking cool. So you see all these places of luxury only to soon find out just how torn down it is. As you continue to explore and progress in the game, you see plenty of unique areas from the start of Medical Pavilion all the way to the end when, stuff happens. It is a wonderful place filled with beautiful sights and crumbling infrastructure. The final piece of what makes this atmosphere so great is the enemies. You first off have the basic splicers, which have guns or melee weapons, depending on which one you're talking about here. And there's a few others as well. You have like the nitro splicer, which throws grenades, the spider one, which can crawl on ceilings, and it's the first actual enemy you see when you first enter the game. And lastly, you have the Houdini splicers, which can like kind of teleport around you, and they are the only ones that can actually use plasmids. You also have security devices, which are things like turrets. They usually have machine gun rounds or rockets, and there's also flying security devices that get launched if you get spotted by a camera. All of these different security devices can be hacked, which can be really useful if you ever want something to actually help you instead of shoot at you. And lastly, you have the most iconic thing of Bioshock, and it is the Big Daddy. Also known as Mr. Bubbles by the Little Sisters, there are 2 types, the Rosie and the Bouncer. The Bouncer is the one that most people think about when they think of the Big Daddies, as these are the ones that have the drill as one of their hands. The Rosie uses a gun instead of a melee weapon, but it still does a lot of damage, and actually it has more health than the Bouncer, but that's a little bit off topic. There are also regular and elite types among each form. All these different enemies just make the game a lot more fun, as it has a little bit of variety when you're versing stuff. The combat system in this game isn't revolutionary, but it is fun. Primarily the plasmid side of it. Plasmids are basically magic. There are multiple different types, from an electrical one to a fire one to a telekinesis one, or ones that plant a dummy or make enemies go after the other enemies instead of going after you. There's multiple different types. They're all fairly unique, and they're all very fun to play with. Now, the other side of the combat system is the more traditional weapons, which are fun, but there isn't much special that I haven't seen done before. There are technically 8 weapons, those being the wrench, which is your melee weapon obviously, a revolver, a Tommy gun, a shotgun, a grenade launcher, a chemical thrower, and a crossbow, and then your 8th technical weapon is a research camera. The research camera is pretty cool. It allows you to take pictures of enemies to research them, and as you research them, you will get buffs against those types of enemies. which can be extremely useful. All of the first 7 can be upgraded at the power to the people stations to make them more powerful. And all the guns also have different ammo types that can be better suited for different situations. Now, this game did come out in 2007, so maybe for the time this was all revolutionary, but it's been like 14 years since this game came out, and this is pretty standard. However, when you mix the plasmids with the normal weapons, you get a really fun combination that just helps make you want to keep playing. Now, I have already given light spoilers in terms of things like the weapons you get, but in this section I will be completely spoiling the ending, so if you still haven't finished the game after 14 years and don't want it spoiled because you're totally gonna finish it, then click off the video now, because I don't want to ruin it for you. Alright, now that those bozos are gone, let's talk about the story. The first person you talk to when you get to the Rapture is Atlas. He acts like the protagonist throughout most of the game, though there are a couple red flags that I have noticed on my second playthrough. He does a fairly good job on this act throughout the entire game. He makes the guy who made the Rapture look like the bad guy, which is Andrew Ryan, all the way up until you kill him, when Atlas then comes out as the actual bad guy. You know, they're doing the whole twist villain thing, which I don't usually like, but it does work really well here, as the entire time they're playing out as Andrew Ryan's this terrible guy who's controlling everything. He's gone power hungry, you need to stop him, and then you kill him and Atlas comes out and is like, I was tricking you the entire time, you're stupid, how do you not know that? When you mix the atmosphere, combat system, and the story all together, you get a masterpiece that is still amazing 14 years later. I mean, it's even fun, at least for me, on the second playthrough. I usually don't like playing games on a second playthrough. It has to be a really good, high quality game, and this is one of them. And that is why Bioshock is really good. And if you haven't got the chance to play it, I kind of spoiled the entire story. But who cares? It's still a good game, and I highly suggest playing it if you haven't got the chance to play it. But with that, we're at the end of the video. If you liked it, please consider subscribing or liking the video. This is a kind of different video style for me, so if you do like it, let me know. Let me know what I could change up about it, because I want to make more videos kind of like this. And thanks for watching.